20 points down in the polls. Friends and enemies lining up to stab me in the back. We're gonna get you out of here, Mr. President! Wait!
Who are you?
You don't recognize me? The President of the United States?
The president is lost. Air Force One has gone down, so it's panic.
There's a lot going on and a lot of human story. So I think it's going to second guess a lot of people. It's going to keep inventing it, reinventing itself, and keep showing, keep revealing more and more.
Actually, when it comes down to it, I mean, it doesn't matter if he's a president or a carpenter. He's in territory that's not familiar, and he's just trying to save his life, and there are people out there trying to track him down. So it just becomes a hunter-prey kind of story. So it doesn't matter what his job is. I mean, he has an expectation of people coming to rescue him, but apparently, at some point, he's got to figure that's not happening.
Don't worry, Mr. President! I will save you!
Oscar is turning 13, and he's sent into the forest, and then he finds the President of the United States.
The story is about the most powerful man on the planet who meets the least powerful man on the planet. And they both have to go this really, really big adventure together to find out what kind of men they really are.
Here.
This is great. This is great. All right, tell me how to get to the nearest town.
No.
Young man, I am the President of the United States.
And I'm here on a mission.
What could be greater than a national emergency?
My birthday.
Your birthday. This is now the property of the United States of America. Got that? So tell me how to turn this thing on.
Get off.
We want to have a big contrast, like epic scale surroundings, and then kind of claustrophobic interiors. Air Force One, a big star, and then not that well-known actor from Finland together. So, I mean, we try to create big contrast.
Welcome to Lapland, gentlemen. A real hunting paradise. We get moose, we get bears, we get wolves, lynx, everything you need. So, what kind of game are you looking for? Big game. Roaches, you're gonna get 5 brownies. Great. Land the helicopter. We haven't licensed to hunt here on this area. Just execute my orders. Roaches,
Hazard is part of a conspiracy. And it is definitely, the American president is definitely the biggest prey he can hunt. Playing the bad guy is sometimes more colorful than playing the good guy. That's why I have the pleasure to be the bad guy in that movie.
you know the tradition, sir, in which the hunter poses with his prey for a photograph?
All right. You've had your fun.
As president, I'm already reading stuff about myself, and I know people don't believe in me. People have betrayed me, and I'm in this situation. And there's disappointment for him, realizing that, you know, his father doesn't have the faith in him to go out and do what he's supposed to do that night. And between the two of them, they find a quiet strength that gets them, you know, going.
What's this?
It's from my dad.
And it says?
He killed that deer for me.
He knows that the expectation for him is not that great because he's supposedly not the most manly of young men. And there's disappointment out there.
The Air Force, when we lost everything, all comms, radar profiles, cell phone signals, gone.
Well, I actually didn't know much about the way the CIA worked, which speaks to my own ignorance. So I just did research in terms of who the CIA director answers to, how it was started, the history of it, and then I just looked at women in government. There aren't very many of them. Sort of took my cue from that.
Sir. Okay, I got a few companies organizing trips, helicopters, four-wheel drive. Looks like it's mainly aimed at hunting.
Hunting? So you'll carry rifles and equipment and not raise any alarms?
This is good.
Make a list, get the details, start contacting them. You're looking for the one that just flew in a group of big game tourists. One more thing, we need live stream satellite coverage of this area.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have that.
You have high-res surveillance of Russia and the United Kingdom, right?
We do.
Well, let's get those satellites pointed in the right direction.
Herbert is perhaps the calm in the middle of the storm, but obviously there's a degree of panic going on all around him. I see him as a sort of slightly professorial, sort of senior, almost retired CIA agent, and he's obviously a man of huge experience and great knowledge in the world of espionage and sort of activity.
You can more or less rule out an action by an individual country. Even the crazies know that the chances of us working back through the dots are high.
We think this is the most serious terrorist action since 9/11.
Just a minute here, just to be clear. For all we know, this was a mechanical failure.
On 5 planes simultaneously?
One explodes, takes out the others.
That's a stretch.
Well, any explanation is a stretch right now.
It's very tense because we believe that there's a rogue terrorist group out there trying to assassinate the president, and how can we stop it, and how will it affect everyone if it happens? And then there's several twists and turns that happen later on, but it's a very tense moment.
Well, I spoke to my taxidermist about some logistics of dealing with a human cadaver. And apparently, if I'm going to stuff him and mount him, best that the body is as fresh as possible.
You're gonna stuff him?
What else should one do with a hunting trophy?
You're insane.
You're a very wealthy man. Just transferred $10 million to the agreed bank account.
You're a very wealthy man. I just transferred $10 million to the agreed bank account.
There's not so much like political aspect, but it's just a question of how important is it to every man, and especially for United States, to look really strong. We have to be the most powerful, and it's a problem of like every man or character in the story.
Big game hunting never got any bigger.
Back off. Back off.
President, you go.
As we found out, it's a mistake to underestimate what it means shooting up on a mountain. Weather conditions and just moving up on a mountain, very steep, is a real challenge.
Very high up. They had snow just before I arrived, and then blistering sunshine like today, and then the clouds would roll up, and the clouds would roll up. But if you're not adaptable enough to use that environment, then you could be in real trouble.
I love mountains and really big sceneries, and in Finland we don't have mountains and stuff like that, so in Germany it's a really nice forest and mountains, so it's a perfect place to do this.
I'm from up north, so I am used to see flatland and the sea, and shooting in the mountains 2,500 meters up was the first time also for me. It's colder, so when you're down in the base it's nice weather. When you're up it's really cold and freezing sometimes. The views are amazing. It is just unbelievable.
We had the boy right from the beginning who was in Jean-Marie's first film, Rare Exports, so we had complete belief in him. And yeah, Sam Jackson, we just thought, you know, who would really complement him, and you know, he said yes.
Couldn't be happier. We have that big stars on the film and really good actors, and it's amazing.
First time I met him, I was quite nervous, but when I get to know him, I found out that he's a nice guy and it's nice to work with him.
He's a real actor's actor. He just commits to whatever he's doing. Inventive on the day. It's so great to work with. Really, we had a lot of fun.
Next time you want to shoot anyone, first you gotta cock it.
Most difficult scenes been on scenes in the plane when it's wet because the water's cold. No actor likes to be wet, and cold water distracts you from doing it. It's uncomfortable.
The images would horrify the world, and the world would know the war on terror is not over.
Any suggestions?
There's only one thing left. Find the president, kill the sons and bitches who are after him, bring him home.
The main idea of Herbert, like, I just had Jim Broadbent photograph. I never thought that it would be Jim Broadbent, but it was just like the type of man and how what does he look like and stuff like that. And now we have it on the movie, and that's weird.
It's very different from things I've been doing before, and it's a different role and a different sort of film altogether. The set, I think it's been brilliantly recreated, very impressive, I think, when it's all on the big screen and finished.
Christian from Germany has made an awesome work with designing of all the sets. And the interior of Air Force One, all the president, where the president lives in Air Force One, and the cockpit and the upper deck with the command center and stuff like that. It's like, couldn't be better. I'm so happy of the production design.
Production value is a really big thing for us. We have the wits and the imagination to create images that are going to be really amazing on screen and fun, We've got airplane sets, we've got big studio sets, we've got underwater sets. So we have thrown a lot at this film that will make it look amazing.
Well, if you like a good adventure story that does have heart, I think this would be a great story for them.
They can expect really epic, like almost Western kind of landscapes. That's why we are here.
It's a story which in its very outset is extreme, but a very human story. So I think it's going to be visually and emotionally and intellectually a bit of a roller coaster and a bit of escapism.
It'll appeal to all different audiences. Young people's action movie about it, and there's also a complicated conspiracy story.
It's action-packed. I think it's going to be thrilling.
The film is called Big Game, and you will have big fun.